Today I'm going to be discussing the debut album from Bad Wolves, Disobey. Bad Wolves, they're a band new to the metal scene. This is their debut record, Disobey, which dropped yesterday, I believe. And Disobey is an album that follows the huge, massive success that they had with their Cranberries cover / tribute of Zombie. That was a huge hit for the Cranberries, and it's a huge hit again now for Bad Wolves. With their tribute of it. Now, the cover went up on YouTube, and people knew of the band. I wasn't really familiar with them myself. They had a couple of other singles out, and it blew up massively. At the moment, I think it's got like 56 million views or something, and it topped the iTunes charts above like all these other artists of all genres. It was on like the general charts, not just the rock charts. It was huge, and they didn't have the album out, so people were sort of like, wow, this band's sort of really come unexpectedly. And a couple of months later, they're here with Disobey, their first record, first full-length record they've done, and honestly, it's pretty different from what I think people got the overall expectation for, because Zombie was obviously, I mean, although it was a cover, it was pretty soft. It was sort of a good sort of hard rock version of it. But there's some really heavy shit on this album, and it does feature members of like Devil Driver, ex-Devil Driver, in this moment, Vimic, and so there's some heavy background, and I mean, people who maybe weren't familiar with that may be surprised coming into this album if you're expecting some more just hard rock stuff like the Zombie cover. But yeah, this album's got some real heavy stuff on it, and it combines quite a few genres, which I'll get into in a moment. But the album starts with Officer Down. Officer Down is a really strong start to the album. It's got a real heavy down-tuned riff, almost like nu metal, sort of Slipknot style, and there's a little like intro bit, and it says 911, what's your emergency, and it just kicks into this massive riff, and it's hard to believe this is the same vocalist who sung his fantastic vocals over the Zombie version, over the Zombie cover even. This song includes really heavy vocals, really quick as well. Then it goes into the chorus section, which is a bit softer, it's a bit more sing-along, with some harmonies and things, and then it just kicks back into this massive, really heavy verses, which is almost sort of not rapped, but real fast-paced, sort of nu metal style. It's very Slipknot, this song. I mean, this song instantly reminded me of Slipknot, and as a Slipknot fan, I really like this track. This is a really strong start to a debut album, and how to make a statement. It's followed quickly by Learn to Live, which is a little bit slower, but not much. Learn to Live, really positive, sort of upbeat style track. It's got a real gent sort of verse. It kicks into a real strong chorus, and again, two tracks, one after the other, really making a statement early on here from Bad Wolves. No Masters is next, and again, that's another positive one. And it's a little bit slower, but it's got a real heavy groove to it, which I really liked. And the thing I like about No Masters is that real sort of heavy groove about it. And then some of the positive lyrics work well with it, with Tommy Vex even saying the words, "You better fucking believe," and things like that. And it's a cool track, and it just slows the pace down nicely a little bit, leading into Zombie, obviously the track that this band got known for. And Zombie is, I know this cover divided a few people, which is fair enough. Personally, I think it was a pretty strong cover, and it was a fitting tribute to Cranberries vocalist who sadly passed away. For those of you unaware, she was meant to be recording vocals on this Bad Wolves version. It was meant to be a collaboration, and I'm pretty sure the day she passed away was the day she was meant to be recording vocals for it. So it's a pretty heartfelt tribute, this song, and the video is really cool as well. The video is actually really emotionally done, really well done. If you haven't seen it, which I'll be surprised, it's blown up. It was hard to avoid. Check it out. But yeah, so this is a decent version. It shows the softer side of Tommy Vex's vocals, because he's delivered a real aggressive vocals in the first few. He's delivered really aggressive vocals in the first few tracks, and this one really shows his cleans are really strong as well. He has a fantastic voice, which is also showed in the next track, "Run for Your Life," which is another decent track. It's got some cool riffs. His vocals sound fantastic again. And then in the next track called "Remember When," he sort of reels it in a little bit more on this track. This is a song sort of reflecting more on like memories and other people in your life that used to be around. And I wouldn't say it's a ballad, but it's a bit more of a ballad, a bit softer. And he really delivers a great vocal performance here, with a huge sort of melodic rock chorus. And yeah, this one is a bit more soft, and maybe those who heard the Zombie cover, who aren't really into real heavy stuff, will grasp onto tracks like this more. But this is a really nice song. It's followed by "Better Than the Devil," which I heard before the album came out. It was a single. I think there was a lyric video for it, and it's pretty cool. It starts off, just another decent melodic metal track, and the chorus just punches you. The chorus is so aggressive and so fast and really impressive. But the chorus really takes you by surprise. It almost leads you into a false sense of security almost with it, and comes out all guns blazing suddenly, with a really intense chorus, and it sounds really good. Tommy Vex vocals again, fantastic delivery here on this track, and it gives me a little bit of a Slipknot vibe, that sort of like heavy nu metal vibe. I don't mean that's a negative thing, by the way. I really like Slipknot, but this is a very cool song. Next is "Jesus Slaves," which again does the same sort of thing for me. Another big chorus. Verses are alright. This isn't like the most memorable track on the album, but it's a decent enough track. Got a real heavy section again towards the end, and it's a decent track. Next is "Hear Me Now." The "Hear Me Now," "Truth or Dare." These tracks they're pretty good, but they're not the most memorable on the album, especially "Truth or Dare." "Hear Me Now" is another sort of softer one, more melodic, with Tommy Vex really showing his vocal abilities again, really displaying some great cleans. "Hear Me Now" is a pretty good song, and it's followed up by "Truth or Dare." This track didn't really do it for me. It was one of the weaker ones on it. It wasn't bad, it was just a bit predictable, and I know this album's not going to be pushing much boundaries or anything. Like, it's quite I don't know how to describe it. It's not like intense prog or anything. There's some 3-4 5-minute just solid tracks, one after the other, for 40 minutes, and that's fine by me, because I enjoy this album. But "Truth or Dare," one of the weaker songs on it for me. It's alright, it's got some good vocals, it's got some decent riffs, it's got a big chorus again, but I don't know, I just found this one a little bit too predictable for me personally. But as I said, people will enjoy this track because it is a catchy song. It's just not very memorable for me personally. Same with "The Conversation," which is next, but "The Conversation" is stronger for me. It's got a very cool riff, and some big vocals again. It's another big chorus. There seems to be a lot of big choruses going on this record, and "The Conversation" is a decent track, which leads into "Shapeshifter." Now this picks the pace back up again nicely, in my opinion. This has some very cool heavy sections in this track. It's quite short again, just very solid. Nothing too over the top fancy with this one, and it's sort of the last massive punch of the album, and just as I'd not started to fade out, zone out even of the album, but this track really brought it full swing in again for me, and I enjoyed it. Next on the album is the final track, to see how good Toast to the Ghost. Now this song was really strong. It starts off very slow and very atmospheric and quite haunting, very quiet as well, and then it just goes full throttle. Tommy Vex does a really powerful scream, and Toast to the Ghost kicks in with a huge riff, and fantastic guitar playing here. It kicks in with a great riff before the pace is brought down again quite nicely. The pace is brought down again, and it just works quite nicely with the more softer verses before it builds up again massively. And this song sort of builds and falls and builds and falls, and it works really nicely. And then there's a cool section towards the end before it goes into a fade out to end the album with. Now, Toast to the Ghost is one of the strongest songs on here for me personally, and a very solid track with some killer riffs and a great combination of heavy and clean vocals here from Tommy Vex. And that's one of the things I really like about this album, Disobey, is the approach to vocals from Tommy Vex here, because you have the tracks like Officer Down, Learn to Live, Better Than the Devil, Jesus Slaves, and Shapeshifter. And then you have the other track, which we got the two sides. So those songs are the more intense ones for him. He's really displaying his aggressive vocal. And then you have the tracks like the Zombie, the Cranberries cover, Remember When, Hear Me Now, things like that. Again, Truth or Dare, with his huge vocals, but displaying cleans, displaying his other side of vocals, and displaying the fact that he has a pretty varied vocal, and he's got a very good range here vocally. And I think that is also complemented by the fact this album's production sounds very nice. I really like the production on this record. Everything just sounds good, and it's pretty because they're very riff based. This band, I think it's cool. The guitars sound really great. There's a great tone going on there, and I think it's cool that this album's just mixed well. The guitars are fairly high in the mix, and I think that just complements their real guitar driven, riff driven work quite well. Although I've got to say the bass fits quite nicely in the mix. Everything just sounds good. This album's got a very clean production to it, which needs to be done in this sort of stuff, because even though some of the tracks on here would work with more raw production like Officer Down and stuff, I think they sound really nice with this sort of clean, polished production, and I think this album sounds really good sonically. However, I don't think this album's particularly life-changing. I think that it's a nice one to listen to. I enjoy listening to it. I listened to it twice yesterday and twice today, because obviously I knew I was going to be doing this review. And yeah, I really enjoy it. A lot of it anyway. I like walking down the streets at Officer Down, and then Remember When and things like that. These tracks are pretty solid, and I think that's the thing with this record. If you're looking for epics, this album's not for you. But if you're looking for 3 or 4 minute really solid tracks with some really tasty riffs and some great vocal performances, this album is for you. Because this album's 40 minutes long, and it's just 3 or 4 minute tracks that are so solid, and a lot of them really hit you hard, and it just works really nicely, this album. I think the pacing is spot on. I think the order of these songs is spot on, because the album's paced brilliantly, because you sort of get an adrenaline rush with the first 3 tracks, Officer Down, Learn to Live, No Masters. They all really make a statement. It's a mission statement for this band almost, that they're trying to make a point. And it brings it down a little bit again for Zombie. Run for Your Life's pretty, it's more heavy, but it's not as heavy as Officer Down. Remember When, and then it just builds it up again nicely for Better Than the Devil, Jesus Slaves, and then it brings it down again, Hear Me Now, Truth or Dare, and then it builds up again for the final 3 tracks, The Conversation, Shapeshifter, and Toast to the Ghost. So this album's really good because it perfectly combines the more softer songs and the heavier songs, and they all work nicely as a collective. So the pacing of this album is spot on as well. What else is there to say about it, really? Oh, I was going to say about the different influences. There seems like there's quite a few influences on this album, because as I said, you get the more new metal tracks on here, such as like Officer Down and things like that. They really and Better Than the Devil, and they sort of remind me of like Slipknot style, sort of maybe All Hope Is Gone era Slipknot, but maybe like. And they're really cool tracks, like Learn to Live as well. But then you get the flip side and this like sort of melodic rock side of it, like Remember When and Hear Me Now, like the more not ballady but the more softer side of things. And then you get like the real gent stuff on the album as well, like Learn to Live. So there's quite a few things going on this album. And although this album is fairly safe, I'd say, it's just very solid. And if you like that sort of like 4-minute, straight to the point tracks, this is definitely for you, because this album is enjoyable to listen to for that purpose. It's one of those albums that you can listen to it in the background, and you can listen to it properly, how I listen to it, through headphones or earphones and whatever, because it's just one of those really solid albums. And I just think that the pacing's really nice as well. And this album really shows that Bad Wolves are here to make a statement. And I'll be interested to see where they go after this, because they really could. This album sort of allows them to go different places. They could continue down this sort of with just solid melodic metal stuff. They could venture off into, heavier stuff, maybe even lighter stuff, whatever they want to do. But what I can say is that Disobey is a strong statement for a new band. They've really burst their way onto the scene here with this new record, and although this album for me isn't life changing, it was nice to listen to, and I don't know, it's got a very cool just overall vibe to it. And although there's a couple of weaker tracks, there's some real strong ones on here to take away from it as well. Overall, I'm going to give this album a 3.5 out of 5. And that's because it's a solid record. There's some very cool stuff on there, some like genty new metal, influences going on. There's some very cool tracks, but it's a bit predictable after a while. And this album's not probably not going to change many lives, but it is an album that is a pleasure to listen to, and I'll be listening to again and again in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, a 3.5 out of 5 for me. So please, let me know what you think of this album, Disobey by Bad Wolves. Because they've really blasted into the scene with this album. Obviously the zombie cover really blew up, and a lot of bands have to really promote the album, but after that everyone was sort of waiting on it. So let me know what you think, because obviously they're suddenly a band that are big on the scene and they weren't before. So let me know what you guys think of Disobey. Do you agree or disagree with any comments I've made? Let me know. I'm happy to discuss music. That's why I made this channel. So let me know what you think of Bad Wolves' Disobey. And I've got some new album reviews coming up soon. There's a new Tremonti album, the new Bull of My Valentine album. There's loads of new stuff coming out, so I'll be discussing those. I've also got loads of older albums I want to go through and discuss throughout the years, throughout the genres. And so if you like what you've seen, feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate that. I've also got some other reviews already on this channel. I've done Machine Head, I've done Saxon, I've done all sorts. I've done some Stephen Wilson. There's a bit of everything on there, to be honest. But this is still a fairly new channel. I only started at the end of January. So I'd appreciate you subscribing, helping that. So yeah, thank you for watching. And I will see you soon with another video. Thank you.